everyone, welcome to another edition of the Golden Standard, the official comic book review series of the Golden Age 1942. We're doing things a little bit different for this episode. We're not really actually going to review a comic book, but I'm very excited to have a good friend of mine here. If you grew up in East Tennessee, you know her, you definitely know her voice. Tonya Stoutt Brown, ladies and gentlemen, who actually started her radio career here in our building when it was WGAP. You've been with, you were at WIVK, you've worked at WOKI, 106.7 The Light most recently.
Right.
And you know, I mentioned it in most of the episodes that we do, that we're located in the historical WGAP radio building. I figured, Tonya, you came by the other day and I saw you were kind of like a deer in the headlights.
I was.
Looking around. You were like, this is where I used to work.
It's memories. It's crazy. They just come flooding back.
So I figured it would be really cool to have Tonya come down and give us a little historical tour of our building.
In this area, there were actually two rooms close to the front of the store. We had a small room where we had the candy machine, the Coke machine, and kind of a lounge area. But in earlier days, it was where preachers would come in and do their shows live on the radio.
Oh, wow.
This area right here was a newsroom, and I would do my radio show on the other side of the glass, and sometimes all I could see was the smoke curling up as the news reporters would be typing away on their typewriters.
Awesome.
Can we go this way?
We can.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Tonya, what can you tell us about this back wall here where our counter is? It's where we greet all of our customers.
Yeah, this was a reception area where you had the couch when you took naps, when you had to work really long shifts.
Yeah.
I actually have a picture, too, that was in the Daily Times. It was an ad for WGAP, and it's a picture of all the on-air staff and the office staff.
Oh,
and it's right there. And,
wow.
you know, as you can see, we're all frowning. And it's not because we're not happy, but they snapped the picture, and probably it was the only one where nobody's eyes were shut. Because radio people are not accustomed to having their pictures taken and flashes in their faces. But yeah, that's right up against that wall. There used to be a wall over here, too, that separated these two areas. And there was a huge painting that covered the entire wall. It was a painting of a mountain range. And that was donated to the Blount County Public Library.
Okay, yeah, I think I've seen that in the library before.
First time I walked into the library and saw that, it was just,
wow.
whoa! It looks so much smaller up there.
Man.
The picture, you ready? You know, a lot of friends that I made while I was here, including Ed Rupp, who of course now is on, you know, WBIR doing traffic and legendary from WIVK.
Yeah.
We became friends here first.
Yeah.
You can see him in the picture.
Yeah.
He's got a beard, and big glasses, and he always called me TS because I was Tonya Stoutt back then.
Yeah.
And when we both went over to WIVK, he started calling me TSB because I got married. He still calls me that. When I'm over at WBIR and I see him over there in his little traffic area, he always says, TSB.
I think I'm going to start calling you TSB from here on out.
Go right ahead.
I think everybody should.
Term of endearment. That's just fine.
What can you tell us about this room? We got some lights up here.
Yes, way up there. This predates me a little, but those were there when I worked here. Those are red and green lights. If the light was green, it was okay to go into the studio. But if it was red, it meant the person in there was on the air, so you needed to stay out.
Awesome.
Those lights didn't work when I was here, so this one was installed later.
Okay, yeah.
Green means it's okay to go in.
Yeah. And it's always okay to go into work anyway. So, yeah. Let's step in here for a little bit, and we'll talk about this now. This is the room we kind of have a hangout room. We've got our arcade game and whatnot. But what did this room used to be when you were here at WGAP?
When I was here, there was a setup here where you recorded your National Weather Service weather forecast. We recorded it on cartridges, which looked like 8-track tapes.
Okay.
They had the same rectangular shape. So you would record that, and then you would race in here and play it in the control room.
Awesome. Cool, cool. Now, I also wanted to mention one of the things that David and Stephanie found when they came into the building was we had these, the walls were, I believe, were stuffed with these, and I believe you know what these are.
Oh my goodness, such an important part of my radio career.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about I believe these are news sheets.
Yeah,
right?
this is, you know, remember when I worked here we didn't have computers.
Okay.
And so there was a huge Associated Press wire machine. And it would type this stuff out 24 hours a day. And it would be reams and reams of paper that would come off the thing.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, you would called it rip and read is what we called it.
Okay.
You would rip the paper off and run into the control room and you could read the news stories. Now you would have your local news reporters who would put together local news stories, but if you need a little extra news to fill out your newscast, or if you overslept and you didn't have time to, get your own news, you would rip and read, and this is what this came from.
That is so cool.
Oh yeah, so many wonderful stories came across here too.
There's a lot of history on these things. I was reading through them and stuff. Could you like read one for us? Could you read one off the air?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is how I practiced my, Jessica Savage and Candy Crowley voices. My skills. Because, I don't know how many people know, but I went on to make a career out of radio news. And actually won an Edward R. Murrow Award. Yeah. And it all started here with this, doing these newscasts in my best impersonations of the network news anchors of the day. So, yeah. Let's do our own radio newscast. Yeah. Good morning. I'm Tonya Stoutt Brown.
And I'm Chuck Zane.
For WGAP News. Kentucky agriculture officials are expecting a top-quality burley tobacco crop that should set a record price.
Newspaper reports the state was apparently overcharged for automotive parts because they were purchased from a firm owned partly by a political ally of Governor Ray Blanton.
There may be a snag in efforts to have Buford Pusser's body exhumed.
Now that's what I call walking tall.
That's the latest news. I'm Tonya Stoutt Brown.
And I'm Chuck Zane.
For WGAP.
This is a supply closet. Not much going on in there now. Well, actually, there's a lot going on. But what can you tell us about what used to be behind this door?
Well, to me, this little closet was the heartbeat of the radio station, because this is where the Associated Press wire machine was. So 24 hours a day, it would crank out the news headlines. Yeah. And when you'd come in first thing in the morning, if nobody had checked it all night, it would be curls of paper, just piled up on the floor. You could drown in it. Yeah. But you would rip it off, and you'd have to go through and find what you wanted to read for the news in the morning. Oh, wow. But that sound, to me, that is the sound of this radio station. That, it's like an old-fashioned thing you'd see from an old movie. That
oh, wow.
Just going nonstop, all day, all night.
Okay, so here we are in our front gaming room. Now, Tonya, what can you tell us about what it used to be? Because it wasn't always a gaming room for a radio station.
This is where DJs did their shows. Yeah. Where we would spin the hits and country music. Oh my goodness. So many memories. This is where I was on the air for the very first time in my life. I remember it so well because I didn't understand that when you plug headphones in, you can't hear audio. Yeah. So I took my headphones off, and I told the engineer, "Why don't I hear anything?" He went, "Shh." Wow. So this place is very special to me. Wow. I remember 45 records being over against that wall, lovely carpeted wall that it is for acoustics' sake. LPs being over against this wall. Okay. And then we had our board with our microphone here, and then it moved here. And every show I did in here, and I really blew a lot of them, made lots of mistakes, but I had so much fun. Yeah. I did. I used to get to host a country music countdown once a week, and that was great. I think our music director just chose the songs he liked the best. Yeah. There was a poster over there on the wall of Lonnie Anderson. Do you know who she is?
I know who Lonnie Anderson is.
Famous, blonde, beautiful lady. Very talented too, but there's a famous picture of her wearing a red swimsuit. Okay. And that was a poster that was on the wall over there. Yeah. And you got to remember, during that time, this was a male-dominated field. There weren't many ladies working in broadcasting. And certainly not my age. But I was bold and brave, so one day when I was doing my shift, I came in and I peeled that Lonnie Anderson poster off the wall, and I replaced it with a poster of Tom Selleck. And they never said a word. Oh gosh, so many great memories.
I wish we still had that poster of Tom Selleck.
Me too.
We need more Tom Selleck.
The whole world needs more
Tom Selleck.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree. There was one time a drunk man called, and he wanted me to play "Thank God" and "Greyhound" for his wife. I didn't know anything about country music really, and this was an old song. It predated me. And so I played it, and before I put it on the air, I did the whole sappy thing, June, this song expresses how Joe feels about you. And the song was, I made a small fortune, you squandered it all, so thank God and Greyhound, you're gone. I left WGAP shortly after that.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. Sort of.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But yeah, lots of great memories in
this. This is Golden Control. This is where we do our episodes of the Golden Standard, our comic book review series. Tonya, what can you tell us about what this room used to be?
Well, this part of the building was for production. It's where we made commercials. And would you like to know what some of that stuff is?
Yeah, yeah.
I
I've always wondered. I mean, it's cool looking, and I've played with it, but I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm playing with.
I didn't work with all of it. I remember some of it, but not all of it. But
Okay.
I actually asked Harry Plumley, who used to be the chief engineer, and he was also the general manager here for a while, and he gave us an explanation.
That's right.
He says the console is an RCA, and it was purchased in the late 1960s from a college station that was in the suburbs of Washington, D.C., and it was used in the production room until sometime in the early 80s. He repaired it and repainted it, and the MagnaCord PT6 record amp and deck with epoxy refrigerator green paint, thinking it would hold up better than regular paint, and apparently he was right.
Yeah.
Because it's still here today, that lovely refrigerator green. The gray equipment in the center below the console is the studio end of the station's first remote control system.
Oh, wow.
When you go out and broadcast.
Yeah.
It was first installed in 1954 and manufactured by Gates Broadcasting Equipment.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's just a little bit. Now, my personal most vivid memory of this area is Profits was a department store here in town, and they were a very, very nice higher-end department store. And they hired me to do the production for some of their commercials.
Oh, wow.
I was all of 18 or 19 years old,
Okay.
and I was trying to be really cool and suave and sophisticated, and I fell off the stool. I was trying to, and there was no way to recover my dignity, and the Profits people were all like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you're okay."
I don't think there's any way that you can recover your dignity after you fall. Either way, it's just not gonna happen.
No,
So.
but those are good character building experiences
They
for
are.
later in
They
your
are.
career.
They are.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, now it is set decoration for the Golden Standard, and it's so cool to really know just the history of what that stuff is.
Yeah.
You know, because we still broadcast from here today, just on social media. So.
Okay, come here. This is really important.
Yeah,
Back
okay,
here.
yeah.
Back here. Restroom.
Oh, yeah. Oh, restrooms are still important.
They are
Very
important. Well, you don't think about how critically important they are until you're a DJ.
Oh, okay.
Because we didn't have pre-recorded programs, it was all live. And so you had to choose the really long songs to run back here and go to the restroom.
Oh, my God.
Also, when I was at WGAP, they would broadcast the UT football games. And
Okay.
so you would listen for John Ward when you'd be back here doing your business. You would listen for John Ward to say, you know, "We'll be back." And I'm, "Oh, that's your cue to run back into the control room and start pushing buttons." Yeah, over
Yeah.
here was the boss's office.
Okay, yeah, let's go in here.
I didn't spend much time in here because, you know, I was in for trouble.
Yeah, you're never in trouble, Tom.
Oh,
You're a good girl.
never. But like any good 18 or 19-year-old, I kept a scrapbook.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I actually went from the recycle pile and I snatched the very first program log from my very first day at work here.
Oh, my gosh.
So this
That's
is,
awesome.
you can see the old copy and everything, and you had to sign every time a new DJ went on the air. Oh, there it is. That's where I signed in. March 27th, 1982. Took over from Steve Francis's shift. Steve checked out at 6, and I checked in at 6. Jeff Kaler is on here, and all these, Mike Anderson and Steve Francis, all these old DJs. Now, if you look there, that was back in my brunette days. I'm on the front row there. We had a need for an afternoon DJ over the summer, and I was out of school for the summer, so I did the afternoon show. And then when they knew that I was getting ready to go back to school, they told me they'd hired a DJ, and they brought Ed Rupp in, and that was the first time I'd ever met him. And you can see down here we have all signed. So this is a great thing to keep. It was our Christmas ad that was in the newspaper that year.
That is so cool.
Look at all the awards on that back wall.
I know.
WGAP was a happening radio station.
Yeah.
Even with, you know, the AM frequency, even with being relatively low power, we consistently ranked in the Arbitrons and had a reputation as being a stand-up radio station. So I'm really proud to have worked here.
Oh, yeah,
I
definitely.
really am.
All right, this has been another edition of the Golden Standard. We just want to thank Tonya. Thank you for coming out. This has been incredible. Just thank you for sharing all the history of this building. I know that I've come in here to work from time to time and always just wondered what if these walls could talk. So I really appreciate you coming by.
Thank you for the opportunity. It has been like revisiting my childhood.
Yeah,
in my big playground.
Yeah. Well, hey, come by anytime. And like I said, thank you once again. We hope to see you guys in the store. Everybody have a good day and a good week. Bye.